morning, everybody. Car Biker here. And it's a lovely Sunday morning. No, it's not actually, is it? It's a Sunday morning. And it's cold and it's grey. But it is wonderful because I'm out on the bike. And it's always great to be out on the bike. Even when it's cold and grey. Even when it's piddling with rain. And ahead of me is Graham Adventures with Woody. We're off for a cuppa at Scarborough. This seems to be a common occurrence. But, yeah, what can you say? The roads to Scarborough are pretty fun. Maybe with the exception of this bit. Which is why I'm talking now, because I've been enjoying the twisty bits. And the coffee there is pretty good too. And I was out on the bike yesterday and recorded a video where I talked briefly about possibly organising a ride out with Graham for this year, and I've briefly broached the subject with him this morning before we set off, and he's well up for it. So over our cup of coffee in Scarborough, we're going to have a chat about when and where we're going to organise a ride out and invite all you lovely people to come along for a ride. It also gives me a chance to try out my Christmas present to myself, kind of. Not really a Christmas present to myself. Other people have paid for it. Because I'm really painful to buy for Christmas, because, you know, who isn't? Once you get above being a child in age, it gets tricky. Pretty much every year there's a whole set of anything you want for Christmas? Nope. For my entire family. So, and that includes me. So quite a few people this year gave me a bit of cash in a card. And I've treated myself to this incredibly brightly coloured jacket that kind of goes with a bike. I'm like a Power Ranger. I've got clothes to match the bike. And it gives me a chance to test it out, because I bought it yesterday, not realising. Bought it in the sales, because of course, you know, who's buying summer jackets in winter? Who's buying bike gear in winter? Not very many people. The shop was almost empty. So I bought this thing in the sale, and it was about £80 less than when I saw it in summer and nearly bought it. And thought I'd try it out, but I didn't realise it didn't have a removable liner, so I was a bit worried it was going to be cold. But actually, it's not doing too bad. Quite pleased with it. The only problem with it is it's got a hump in the back, and I'm not really one for the hump. But anyway, it was reduced, and it's a pretty colour, and it turns out it's reasonably warm, so I'm happy. This is an interesting roundabout. In summer you often see people on bikes going round and round and round it, trying to get the knee down. I've not tried it myself here, but they've got these little plants they've put in, these ones here. Now these have been cut right back. They were actually growing up to the point that if you were trying to get your knee down, your head was too low that you couldn't see past them, and you actually become invisible behind them. And it makes you wonder, have the council put them in on purpose? Have they seen people just terracing round the roundabout and thought, right, how do we make this more awkward for them? A few times I've gone round that roundabout and I've head-butted the leaves of a plant as I've gone round. A few bikes out today. Everybody's starting their spring early. Never quite understood the whole idea of the biking season. I understand why people go out a little bit less over winter, because quite often it's just blooming miserable. But here we are on January the 5th, and although it's colder than it was yesterday, and as you can see from the spinny turbine, a bit windier, and as you can see from the sky, quite a lot greyer and probably more likely to rain, these roads are great. And they are dry. That wind has really dried the roads overnight. Yesterday when I was out, most of the roads were quite wet. But now, the only bit that seems to be wet is on the other side at the minute, and it's because the tractors have been out, and it's not wet road as much as wet mud. This is obviously where he's come out. I mean, it does mean you have to clean your bike a bit more, and you have to worry a bit about salt. I suppose there's that. But if you only ride for 6 months of the year, that's, you know, that's half of your biking life wasted, I tell you, wasted. Just coming up to Staxton Hill and I think this is another road where they're trying to slow you down. I mean, to be fair, if you're in a car you want to be going pretty slow, because it's a very steep hill. What is it? 17%. In old money, a 1 in 6. And it's bends all the way down. At the bottom they've actually got one of them areas for catching trucks if your brakes fail, although instead of it being all gravelly it's now all overgrown. But the biggest problem I have with this hill nowadays, and the reason I'm going slow, is the state of this road. This was all potholes last year, and they have, laughingly they call it, repaired them. But if you're going to repair a pothole with some tarmac that in some cases doesn't fill the pothole and in other cases is proud of the pothole, and then on this bit I don't even know what's going on, that bit we've just gone over, but the surface is absolutely shot and they've just ignored that bit. It's weird, isn't it? I don't really understand how they do road repairs. Here's that escape road, so you're supposed to come off here in your truck, and here would be lots and lots of really deep gravel to catch you in, but it's now just kind of turned to mud and grass. Don't know if that would slow down an Arctic. Nice little view of P-Zone Park there, that's where the naval warfare battle is. I videoed a while back. Well, we just had a lovely cup of coffee on the seafront. Very cold, and it's certainly starting to look choppy out there. And a good chat, and a part of that chat, as mentioned before, was talking about doing a ride out. So we're thinking of doing a ride out probably May time. I have to work out some more bits and pieces first, but it's a route roughly what I was planning last year for a ride out and then didn't do because I had my accident. Which the idea was to try and make it reasonable for as many people as possible, no matter where you live, is to do a ride out that starts in Yorkshire, probably at Seaways Cafe, which is always a good starting point for a coffee, and if you want your bacon sandwich or your omelette or whatever to start the day with, and to ride down to somewhere like Skegness with a stop on the way. So there'll be a cafe stop on the way for a drink, and probably end up at Skegness so that people can get fish and chips or whatever they want to get. The idea being that if you live up here, then you're starting pretty much where you live, and you can get a decent ride in, and then when it's finished you just ride home again. You can ride back with us if you fancied it. But if you live further south, well, it's always awkward for people who have to ride quite a long way north to start a ride and then do a long ride and have to go home again, and quite often people that have come on my ride outs have had to book hotels or B&Bs or whatever to do that. So this might open it up to a few more people without the need to do that by making the end point. So you have quite a ride to the start, but then when you get to the end you've been nearer to home. So that's kind of the outline of a very unplanned plan. I say probably around May time, but we will discuss it further and put more information out as we know more. I was saying earlier on about winter riding. One problem with winter riding, other than the roads, is you're always chasing the light, aren't you? I'm now heading back home down the coast road, and starting to get darker. I'm going to be chasing the light, see if I can get home before it gets dark, and my dark visor starts to make it hard to see. It's okay at the minute though. I should beat it. I've been caught out in the past and it's not nice, but I think I'll be alright this time. Somebody's in a hurry. This is Carnaby, where that Carnaby memorial is. I did a video about the other week. Probably a couple of months about by now actually. I wonder if I'll be able to spot it easier this time. There it is, just on the right. Shame it's not lit up really. Yeah, it would be nice that lit up, wouldn't it? Since it's on glass. Nice lit up now that the sky's getting a bit dull. Duller still through the visor. And on that note actually, because I'm probably getting dull as well, I think it's a good time to say thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for listening to my inane drivel. Hope to see you on a ride out soon. Ride safe, everyone, and I'll talk to you all again soon.